everyone, and welcome back. So, we should all be playing Cyberpunk in just a few weeks. Should. Hopefully there's no delay, but there has been delays, and that means we've got some time on our hands. So, we have put together for you a number of the best Cyberpunk games out there. Seriously, right? This video is full of 90+% Steam rated games. Incredible experiences for you to enjoy while you wait, and incredible gaming value to be had. Just like the value that you can get from Skillshare, today's sponsor, where the first 1,000 of you to click my link below will get a free trial, and it's just $10 a month after that. Now we're going to do something a bit different. Investing 101 by Business Casual. You've probably heard a lot about stonks this year, you know, with Wall Street bets going wild, all the Tesla talk, the NIO talk. Well, here's the thing. Investing is actually extremely important. It's a way to turn your labor into long-term wealth, but it's something that's got to be done carefully and with understanding. And that's why knowing this stuff is great for everyone. That's why Investing 101 Stock Market and Stocks are two incredible series for you to watch on Skillshare. Jordan makes it simple and accessible. That helps to combat the knowledge gap that prevents people from actually accessing investing. And through each of these, you'll know how to actually make informed, responsible decisions instead of just following a stock tip you get off Reddit. So, I really think you should give this one a shot. It's important stuff, and you can do it for free if you click my link down below, and it's just $10 a month after that for everything on Skillshare, which is a lot. Thanks to them for sponsoring, and with that said, let's go. Alright, we're not going to be wasting your time today by, saying, oh, you should play Deus Ex, you should play System Shock. Obviously you should. But you probably already know that. Today we're going a bit off-piste then, and the reason why is because once you do that, you open yourself up to a world of absolutely incredible games, many of which you will not have heard of. So, let's go. First up, we've got the most recent to release game on the list, and that is Ghostrunner. Its tagline is, "Welcome to the future, it's going to kill you." And yes, it will. So Ghostrunner, first-person game, gets a lot of gameplay crammed in there. It is set in a cyberpunk megastructure where the last of humanity is in a massive tower, and of course you've got to ascend it and take out that bastard who's running the whole show from the top. But what really gets it with this game right is the slick as hell combat. Combines waves of enemies with one-hit, one-kill mechanics and massive mobility that makes the whole thing a big combat puzzle, a big dance with death. And it sure has earned its 89% rating on Steam. This game is an absolute blast. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It is one you should absolutely try playing. Katana Zero then, it is many similar ideas but in a 2D setting. It also has things like great environmental kills and time manipulation mechanics, which is super exciting. But the core is, yes, super fast, side-scrolling action, great abilities, great mobility, an absolute banger of a soundtrack. This game is such a compelling experience. Look, few things end up with a 98% positive rating in Steam, and this game's one of them. You should absolutely try it. It's a blast. Ruiner. Okay, Ruiner is a sort of cyberpunk Hotline Miami by way of Ghost in the Shell and Akira. Overwhelming top-down action, loads of enemies, loads of weapons, they're all really fun, and this is the really nice thing, really effective quiet moments that flesh out its world. It's really interesting. You've got like characters and art and environments with so much visual charm, and then of course the corporate population control and underground gang warfare being thrown in for the grit. This game is also a big action-packed blast, and it's a 90% rating on Steam. Yeah. Today's video is going non-stop with absolutely brilliant games. Valhalla. Are you in the mood for something a little bit more restrained? Well, this very bizarrely spelled but very simply pronounced game, Valhalla, could very much be for you. Rather than taking on the oppressive cyberpunk system directly, it takes it on by you serving drinks, getting drunk. Essentially, right, it's bartending gameplay, a little bit of bartending sim elements, and, well, visual novel stuff where you're serving drinks, you're hearing stories, you're learning about the world, right? The quality here exists in the narrative, which is branching, by the way, the characters, the vibe, the atmosphere. It's refreshingly different from the games that we've covered thus far. And if you are thinking, oh, it's a visual novel, I'm not into them, hey, it's a 97% on Steam. You know this thing is bloody good. I highly recommend trying it. Nirvana. So Nirvana is actually the sequel to Valhalla. You're in a more upmarket bar this time around, but its decadent facade, of course, is masking the sinister. The locals have got plenty of different secrets. There's extortion, ties to the mafia, all of that fun stuff. Your partner's in with the Yakuza. So yes, you'll be pouring drinks, doing your usual things for these games, but not quite yet. It's a bit weird. The release date is to be confirmed 2020. We're sort of running out of 2020, so technically you can say that this video title is a bit of a lie because you can't actually play this game right now, but given how good Valhalla is and how this is the next, well, we thought it was only fair we mention this because if you enjoy Valhalla, there is something very much for you to look forward to in the near future. There really is something about the cyberpunk genre and bartending games because in the Red Strings Club, you play Donovan, the only robotic free person in a club full of cybernetically enhanced personalities where you can judge which drinks will impact certain parts of somebody's personality, which then means you can get info out of them and then you can peddle it. And let's just say the story develops as you talk to more people. Tensions are rising between a corporation aiming to use social psych welfare to wipe out things like depression, fear, and anxiety, and then those arguing that, maybe this isn't such a good idea. Yeah, so basically, right, it's a staple of Cyberpunk that is explored wonderfully here. Therefore, it's not surprising that it's a 93 on Steam, because yes, the quality of the games in today's video, at least thus far, is absolutely off the charts. Cloudpunk is another game from this year, and it's one that's quite fun, I suppose. We've all been relying on delivery drivers or bicyclists, and this is a game where you are in the shoes of a delivery driver. You are tasked with delivering packages in your, of course, flying car around one of the cyberpunkiest cities we've seen just actually be accessible and playable in a game. The game itself is a big narrative experience with NPCs that are a real joy, a really cool city. I mean, just look at it, it's so visually compelling. And of course, this is where it really matters. The quests, they're well written, they're thoughtful, they're engaging, right? Again, this is not the sort of game that completely blows you away with the most groundbreaking features. It's just that what's there, the actual content, the meat of it, is just really, really well done. This is a great to play game. It's in a gorgeous cyberpunk world. It's a brilliant experience, and it's an 89 Steam rating. So again, you know it's good. Speaking of lovely aesthetics, if you've recently enjoyed Hades, you should really give Transistor a shot. I mean, man, I still listen to the soundtrack of this game today. It's an isometric action game set in a futuristic city wherein you embark on a quest to defeat a robot army that is operated by a bunch of corrupt officials, which doesn't really sound super mind-blowing right at the outset, but that's not what captures it. For me, this is a game, it's Supergiant, right? It's about mood, it's about vibe, all that story and narrative stuff, it is absolutely there. And this is it's just such a great thing to sink into. It totally nails what Supergiant games are known for, right? This was the follow-up game to Bastion. The art is gorgeous. The soundtrack is incredible. I listened to it on Spotify today. The gameplay is really unique and interesting in how it approaches isometric combat. This is worth your time. And also, it's a 94 in Steam. So once again, you know it's good. Observer is a pretty unique experience, even for Cyberpunk, because it shuns the typical, neon cities for dark, claustrophobic corridors that are full of monsters and corporate conspiracy. Now, it is from Bloober Team, who did Layers of Fear, Blair Witch, and The Medium, which is coming out reasonably soon, I think in January. So that's what you should expect, right? Psychological horror, plot twists. Basically, you play as a detective who solves crimes by hacking into the brain augmentations of suspects. And, by the way, also, you're voiced by the late Rutger Hauer of course, Blade Runner. Now, this is not a perfect game. It is well reviewed all over. It can be a bit uneven though, but still, if you want a really compelling horror experience within this theme, then yes, I think this is one you should check out. Okay, let's get weird. It's time for, again, I Divine Cybermancy. It is a game from 2011 where you obviously play as a warrior monk working for a standard cyberpunk megacorp where you're shooting and hacking and cloning your way through open-ended levels with the help of loads of weapons, loads of, your psi abilities. Its plot is a big, old, twisty, hot mess that surprisingly does come together kind of well at the end. Basically, it's just, it's one of those games. It's uneven, but there's just something that's kind of lovable about it. So, look, even I'd say, if you're not going to check it out, check out Mandalore Gaming's review on it over in YouTube for a slice. It's pretty cool. It's time for something truly bizarre, Anachronics. It's a friggin' strange creation from the makers of Deus Ex. which is good, and Daikatana, which is less good. It's a weird thing. It's mixed standard cyberpunk themes with JRPG-style combat and a touch of noir, where of course you're playing as a grizzled private investigator on the dimension-shifting planet of Anachronics. And this game is so janky, but there is a charm to it. I mean, your computer cursor is a tiny spaceship containing a hologram of the main character's deceased best friend. I mean, come on, what's going on here? Now, oddly enough, its intended sequel never materialized, and it has a very strange story that doesn't actually end properly. But it is a strange bit of fun, and it only costs 69 pence on Steam. Next, we've got Omicron, the Nomad Soul, a baffling experience from Quantic Dream. That's David Cage's studio, so yes, we should expect baffling. Of course, though, I mean, if you've been playing Detroit Become Human, a lot of people love that. Well, yeah, this is the same studio, but a long time ago. This game mixes fourth wall breaking cyberpunk with action, adventure, and supernatural fantasy, and it's absolutely all over the place. It starts off as a detective game, it morphs into a conspiracy-driven battle between good and evil. David Bowie shows up for some reason, the whole thing's bonkers, and it's on sale on Steam for £1. Right, if you just want a slice of weirdness. Next up, I should really mention the Shadowrun franchise. It's a bit of a curious one, right? It's mixing elves and magic along with katanas and mechacorps. Pretty cool. Now, in video games, well, it first released on the SNES in 1993, and, I think became a very essential genre title, really. But then it was dormant for a bit until Microsoft did a FPS game in 2007. That was a bit odd. Then there was, of course, what I think most people know of, the Kickstarter from 2013, which was the isometric RPG that then had a 2014 sequel. And these are really good games. The 2014 one really doubled down on just basically player choice and agency. Did that really successfully. I'd say it's slightly better than the 2015 sequel, but it's also pretty great, the sequel. Basically, the point here is, there's a whole bunch of the Shadowrun content out there. It's really good if you want to go and lose a few weekends in it, so that's definitely something we recommend. I suppose speaking of 1993 things, Syndicate, right? It's a strategy game that pitted two dystopian future megacorps against each other, and the gameplay of the original Syndicate has actually aged surprisingly well. And then, of course, there's the 1996 one, which upped the ante further with sandbox-style missions, destructible environments, even more player choice. And then, Starbreeze later rebooted the original, the reboot of the original Syndicate into an okay FPS, which was a bit of a weird move for them to make. So there's the Syndicate. This is a decently niche but quite well known and liked franchise that is in the cyberpunk setting. So if you want a strange rabbit hole to sort of tumble down, yeah, this could be one of them. Probably not as strange as Anachronics, but certainly something to check out. In closing, cyberpunk is a wonderful genre. It's experimental by nature. It's crammed full of big ideas. And here's the thing, right? Cyberpunk 2077, you're not going to get more of a massive, super hyped, big budget, open world. And it's going to do that better than any game has before, I think. But there's a lot more to this genre than that particular game. And once you step outside of the FPS combat, or sort of, FPS combat or FPS sort of RPG sort of thing, you get these really incredible, unique experiences. Right? Like Valhalla. This was technically it is first person, but you get what I mean, right? When you get into some of the more visual novel things, or, man, you just get some really cool experiences. I mean, a lot of these games you probably won't have heard of, but you just need to look at their Steam ratings. They're so damn high, right? And that means there is this audience who absolutely loves them. And I think that's why what we should do is take the hype of Cyberpunk 2077 and try to actually use the fact that people are really into the cyberpunk genre, or at least this particular game, and try to give them some more options, some new ideas, new games, new experiences. It's hard. There are so many games to play right now. I don't know how we're going to play all of them. Anyway, if you've been struggling with having, too many games to play, I suppose I hope we made your problem worse by giving you some pretty cool options. So that's it for today's video. If you want to learn about the stonks, hit up the Skillshare link in that description below. It, of course, helps the channel a great deal as well, and they've been a fantastic partner for us, really, at this stage, over the years. That's it for me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. I really enjoyed that. There's too many games to play.